once we arrived in '06, it took a matter of a couple of weeks for me to realize that, the salsa is not only in my family, but, what I have access to in stores and whatnot, just simply didn't exist here.
Gdayall, and welcome to episode 16. That voice was Richie Pinard, and much, much, much more from him later. Welcome, Phil, and welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, and Happy New Year.
Yes.
2021. Hopefully this is better than last year.
So far, so good. Any broken any resolutions yet?
What? No, I don't break any resolutions from year to year because I never have any.
Yeah.
That's the easy way.
I think it's bogus as well.
Everyone
else does it.
Say I'm not going to stop drinking or whatever. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Please, I don't think.
Go on a diet? Why?
I'm more likely to die from a kettlebell at a gym. I'd rather just keep eating and drinking. That's fine.
Right.
Now, we had a little bit of a look, and people from all over have been listening to us, including North Holland, Chechnya, and Yucatan, Mexico, which is quite handy going back to our guest today.
They're probably trying to figure out what we're talking about in those countries.
Who are these weirdos? Or maybe it's like me. They wake up in the middle of the night where it plays random podcasts, and then I woke up to us the other night. Like, what the hell is this here?
And then they're probably saying, hey, they talk funny about my accent, Listen to this.
They're very strange people.
Yes.
Now, today's podcast is a podcast that will be close to my heart. It's about Cal Mex food, so Californian Mexican food. Richie, our guest that's coming up, and I sort of grew up in the same area, which we'll get back to later. And we've got a few fun facts. Do you want me to start? Do you want to start?
You can start. Well, I'll start. Okay. So the LA Times.
Yes.
Okay. The paper that checks and rechecks all their sources. Or is that the Post? Anyway.
Phil.
Called for Cal Mex foods to be the official food of California.
I completely concur, because it is, no matter where you go, and you can say, because you live in Southern, I'm in Northern, we've both driven through the middle, I'm sure we've been in Bakersfield at some point. There's always a local Mexican restaurant.
Always. Yep.
Oh, yeah, and the different regions are a little bit different. For example, in the Central Valley, where I'm from, there's steak ranchero. So it's a certain sort of beef cooked, like thinly sliced, cooked with bell peppers and onions, but that's really sort of a Northern like that area, right. Central Valley area, and you might not get it.
Yeah, and then like where I grew up, where I lived for a while in Huntington Beach.
The fancy, healthy area.
Yes, we had fish tacos.
Well, yes, and I did not see those for years. Like I moved here and went back home, and all of a sudden they were a thing.
It's probably the simplest thing to make at home too, because fish cooks so quickly on a grill, and you just keep on chopping it. Put that fresh salsa, which we'll be talking about, that salsa onto it, and a little bit of any sour cream.
Or if you're my youngest child, she wanted fish fingers in it. So she had fish sticks, tacos. But, we did that in quesadillas after school. And so our other fun fact, in 1991, which was a very good year, sales of bottled salsa surpassed ketchup for the first time.
Poor Heinz, right down the tubes. But they probably own Pace anyway.
They have to, yes, that's right. They don't lose anything. And own all the tomato farms, I'm sure. And this was funny. This is about the year that Jerry and George.
Salsa and the salsa.
Everyone just like to say salsa.
Salsa.
One of my favorite Seinfeld episodes. And in 2013, tortilla chips and salsa became the official snack food of Texas.
Because they're fried, right?
That's right. There's a fried element in there. But when you go to a Mexican restaurant at home, rather than here when they charge you up to $10,
right.
You get an endless basket of chips.
And salsa.
And fresh salsa.
Yes.
And
they keep on bringing it out to you. By the time you get your meal, like, I'm done.
But then you get your tortillas on the side, and you make your own little burrito with your beans and then some of the salsa on it. So that I found really interesting, and I did a bit of research. I have eaten, I think, all but one of these types. There are heaps of different burritos. Now, burritos only came around they think about the 1900s in North Mexico. So it makes sense it kind of snuck into California.
Yeah.
We've got the traditional, which is very much like what we'll be talking to later, 1 or 2 ingredients.
Right.
The mission,
which is your part of the world.
That's right. So I came out of San Francisco, and that's the big humdinger of a size of a baby burrito that has everything in it.
It's like a baby in a wrap. You know how they did the wraps now for little baby? Well, they came from the burrito.
That is exactly right. And I could manage to get from my high school to the mall to get an Otis Spunkmeyer burrito that was as big as my head and have half of it before I got back.
That's a nice Mexican name, Otis Spunkmeyer.
And you could buy chocolate chip cookies with it.
Yeah, I remember the cookies.
And smothered burritos, or a Suiza, so I think it's pronounced. So it's red and green sauce on it. It's sort of like an enchilada.
Yeah. I had those down in Venice Beach. Not Venice.
Not the Venetian or in Italy.
Where the lady, we went in there for lunch.
Yes.
And with John DeRosa, as you know.
Yes.
And we went in there for lunch, and they're making fresh tortillas. Fresh. This lady's just there patting them, putting on the grill, and then they did the smothered burritos. And this was I forgot what part region of it, but it was a seafood Mexican restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had the seafood to go into that and made the burritos into a seafood with the sauce over it. So it's smothered.
And it's like, I saw one little note, so I'll throw another fun fact in there. So they're called Christmas. The sauce is called Christmas sometimes because they'll put the red and green sauce on top of it. It's a bit fancy. But we have the good old SoCal again. Mm-hmm. The California burrito is it's French fries in it.
Oh, French fries.
And the legend is that some surfers,
dude,
they might have been just extra hungry. I don't know why that would be.
Yeah.
But they say, why don't you throw some French fries in there while you wrap it up? And that is actually a thing, California burrito.
Now you got the breakfast burrito, the Honche Rochero burrito. Or whatever. How do you know ever say that word? Hunch. What is it?
I don't know what the hell you're saying.
Eggs. How do you say eggs?
Oh, huevos.
Oh, huevos. It's spelled with an H. I know J is H.
Yes, huevos.
Huevos.
Huevos? Yes, with...
No wonder why I never got... when I ordered, they always look at me.
What
are you talking about? Hey, amigo, hey.
The funny guy's back again. Just throw him anything.
Point to it at the menu, yeah.
So you'd have potatoes, and you'd have chorizo or bacon and eggs or huevos.
Yeah.
I'll go through that again.
Yeah.
And there is a few people here that make them but they stick a hash brown in it rather than the chopped up potatoes that are pan fried. Both are actually.
Well, a lot of times I'll do it at home because it's a simple breakfast sometimes. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to make toast.
No.
So you scrambled up your eggs, and I throw some cheese into it and some bacon, scramble them all up, take it out, put the burrito into the pan, get that warm, throw that in, then wrap it up while it's in the pan and hot. Oh
yeah, that's good. And salsa if you want, or some jalapenos if you want it spicy.
If you want to wake yourself up, yeah.
And the next one we have a love for, but it's pretty. Although Arizona, I think, it tries to take credit for it, but it's pretty much a Californian thing.
What? The kogi? What?
No, the chimichanga.
Oh, the chimichanga. I went ahead of it.
Okay. You did.
I love a chimichanga.
Me too.
It's got to be so bad for you. That's why it's so good.
It is. The story is that a lady who was making burritos accidentally chucked one in the deep fryer. And that's how all great things happen like that. And it is large, and it's crunchy, and it's filling, and you feel a little bit like, oh, this is a bad thing, but it's so good.
Exactly.
Dan.
Yes.
And yes, so the last one that I found, so the newest thing in the 2000s, Roy Choi, he started the food truck. Did you see the movie Chef?
No.
You need to see the movie Chef.
Okay.
Everyone needs to see this movie. But Roy Choi actually trained the actor in it, and he is Korean. So he had a Korean food truck, and he was a chef prior to that, and kind of decided he wanted to get into that business. And he made a kogi burrito. So it's got kimchi in it and different meats in it, but it still has the sort of Mexican flair to it. So it's like a California fusion. So it's a Southern California thing, and actually, it sounds really good to try. I might give that a go.
Well, even having one with bulgogi.
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think he probably does that.
Yeah, without the kimchi. Yeah.
But Roy Choi is one of my favorite chefs because he's just sweary and funny and really, really dry.
Yeah,
But
did I tell you we went to see kimchi once we went to that drag show for Christmas?
No.
Yeah, that's her name, Kimchi.
Kimchi?
Yes.
Well,
She's very famous on what's that guy, the drag queen on TV?
Yeah, RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, so she's one of the performers, and she was out here in Australia twice.
How do we know that we go from salsa to drag queens?
Well, because we're talking about Koreans now. Yeah, and you mentioned kimchi, you mentioned her name.
Okay, I do love it, and I love what happens to us every week.
Yes.
Now, what we will do is now is the time to get serious about our Cal Mex, and it's time for our guest, which we will come to after this, Richie from Richie's Fresh Salsa.
Our guest of this week, we'll bring in Richie Pinard.
Not the captain, Richie Pinard.
Pinard. So she's
there. You go.
Even as hair, he's not bald. So there you go. And he's from Elk Grove, not Illinois, which I thought, but it's Elk Grove, California.
Yes.
So Richie, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Phil.
Yeah. Now Richie is our resident guru, so to speak, of salsa, because he's a salsa guy.
You're saying it like George Costanza, salsa.
Well, I'm from New York. It's salsa. Not salsa, salsa. We gone through this before.
That's right.
Okay. So in about 60 seconds or less, I know you're going to need more than 60 seconds, Richie. Give us a little brief rundown of how you got here and what you're doing.
All right, here we go. Well, I was born in Sacramento, but raised in Elk Grove, Go Thundering Herd, a suburb south of Sacramento. My parents are both predominantly Mexican. My father does have Apache Indian and some French in him. And I was exposed, along with my siblings, to Mexican food at a very young age. It was a staple of our diet. And growing up in California, there were certainly no shortages of Mexican offerings. Met my future wife in 2001 in downtown Sacramento. We married in 2005, and we moved to Melbourne in August of 2006. And it really didn't take too long to realize that, my calling and contribution to the local Mexican food scene here in Melbourne was already set in stone. I mean, I knew I wanted to give a little taste of California to the fine folks here in Melbourne, and that's how our journey began.
Well, I heard you're a Christmas baby too. Is that correct?
That is correct. A 4:30 p.m. Christmas baby, to be exact.
You and JC can't be bad.
Just call me Jesus for short.
That's right. Obviously, we've got similar backgrounds in where we come from, not with the heritage, but I was lucky enough to have one of my best friends who's Mexican, so I was at her house often and indulged in the goodness. But I think in California, you get fresh salsa. So I'm going to go back to the pronunciation, salsa.
Salsa.
So you get fresh salsa at the store. So you can get like Verde, or Chipotle wasn't in when I was at home, but, different ones. And I miss that because the ones here are sort of stewed. It's like the
ketchupy.
Yes, that's right. So we're lucky enough to carry Richie's products. And my husband and I ate a whole container for dinner one night of mild, I think it was. So I understand. I found I missed finding fresh salsa. I missed finding tortillas. I missed finding some of those basics that we grew up with that you kind of don't realize aren't from, are so close to our hearts until we move somewhere else.
Absolutely.
How did you feel about that? Is that what made you sort of want to kick things off?
Yeah, I mean, look, when we arrived in 2006, I mean, my initial experience with Melbourne was 2004. Me and my future wife came here. I stayed 2 weeks. She stayed back for a month. But in those 2 weeks, I really wasn't able to gauge, what kind of Mexican offerings were here. Just real quick 2 weeks of, just experiencing this beautiful city. Uh, once we arrived in '06, it took a matter of a couple weeks for me to realize that, the salsa is not only in my family, but, what I have access to in stores and whatnot, just simply didn't exist here. And that's really, my wife, Mary, she actually came up with the idea of doing some local farmers markets and seeing how folks here would take to my family's fresh
So how
salsas.
come you didn't call it Mary salsa?
Well, because Mary's the idea person and I'm the do person. So
Well,
she's
it's usually the idea person who gets their name on it. Yeah.
yeah. She trust me. She gets compensated, but no, I mean it was. Hey, look, she was a matter of probably a half an hour ahead of me because I had the idea. She just, you know, she kind of
She pushed you.
yeah, she put it out there, and so because I really after going to a few different suburbs and just not really having any luck, just Old El Paso and Doritos brand, etc. I
Yep.
kind of knew what my calling was here, so it didn't take long.
What
So
are the? Oh, sorry.
yeah. So is Mary from Sacramento that you met her on the streets there?
No,
That's
no.
what you-
She's a hometown girl here. She's from Hawthorne, and she was just in Sacramento doing some business, just doing work in Sacramento, and so
People keep importing us.
Oh, okay.
uh,
So yeah, I was wondering what would somebody be doing in Sacramento, because if it's like the type of place that you wouldn't go there unless you had to.
Hey,
Hey.
hang on, that's Stockton.
Oh, that's Stockton.
she got kicked out of Brooklyn, so she came back. She came to the West Coast, but yeah, she was she was a neighbor of mine actually, and that's how we initially met. And once we started to hang out, I took her home, and of course I took her on a Mexican eating tour throughout Sacramento, San Francisco, and Southern Cal, but the restaurant's closer to home. I have friends in the industry. She really embraced, my family's food and the local Mexican fare. And I think even back then, those initial experiences, I think she already had an inkling what, probably what I was going to be doing here, even before I thought about
So,
that.
what are the 4 salsas that you do? So, at the moment, there's 4 of them.
Yeah, the 4 salsas that we introduced initially, these are just basically my parents' just basic table salsas.
Mm-hmm.
Salsa rojas, just tomatoes, chilies, onions, garlic, and some cilantro. And I wanted to introduce the salsas that were closest to me as a child, as a teenager. I make much more complex salsas, but these salsas remind me of home, remind me of my parents, and so those were the obvious choices to introduce to the local Melburnians here.
I was sorry, Richie. I was really excited to see the verde, and that is my favorite, and that's one of those flavors that I miss. So, did you
Yeah.
have? I've found over the years I've had a hard time finding things like tomatillos and
Oh, yeah.
that sort of thing. How did you go sourcing ingredients? Because that must have been difficult for some things, and the relationships I'm assuming you had to make with people.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, when we started business in '07, we were in Box Hill at the time, and sourcing local tomatoes was a bit of an adventure. We actually were sourcing them through the Vic Market uh,
Mm-hmm.
initially, and then we moved to Brunswick in the latter part of '07, and developed a really strong relationship or rapport with La Mana Fresh, which is a lovely fruit and veg shop off Sydney Road. And they're a catalyst of our business because they provide us the best fresh tomatoes year round that we could possibly ask for. So when it comes to the salsa rojas and the chipotle that I make, they're our staple provider of tomatoes year round. The tomatillos, on the other hand, unfortunately, I could not find tomatillos fresh here in the quantity that would be necessary for the volume of salsa verde that I use. So We use a very, we use canned tomatillos, which they're the La Costeña is the one of the better quality tomatillos that get imported here. Personally, I would prefer fresh when it comes to salsa verde, tomatillos, but La Costeña is one of the best brands when it comes to tomatillos.
It is good because we carry that,
Yeah.
and and they are high quality. I see them occasionally, and then sometimes I've picked them up and not got to them quickly enough. So it's exciting when you see a product from home that shows up quickly or shows up in your market. You can actually, do what you love with it. And you also do burritos. So tell us about them as well.
Well, the burritos, again, I mean, close to home. I mean, these burritos, my mom and my dad, when they were, having very busy weeks, I mean, oftentimes they would just prepare these very humble burritos, in various flavors, black beans, pinto beans, pork, beans and cheese, just very easy, simple versions of burritos, unlike you would get at Taco Bell or some of the fast food Mexican joints throughout the U.S. I mean, these were just what my mom would have grew up with, and to a degree what my father would have been exposed to when he was young. And so when we introduced our range of burritos in 2015, I wanted to make the closest version of what I grew up with to promote here, and I didn't want to make these burritos too overcomplicated or just I just wanted to stick with the guidelines of what I grew up with. So just very simple, flavorful, and traditional to our household. So,
yeah, one thing I found about your burritos compared to the others is it's packed full of other things besides rice and beans. I mean, you got, quite a bit of meat in there, and if you go to some of the franchise burrito places here that are opening up, it's mostly you get a burrito. It's like, where's the meat, and it's just basically rice inside of it, a few beans and a smidgering of meat that they passed over the rice and beans.
Well, I was lucky enough to try several varieties of yours one morning. You met, Sean.
Yep.
I walked in and he goes, Richie brought in burritos. Do you want to have some? So like home, I had burritos for breakfast. We heated a few up and they're great. Like I had the grass-fed beef and there's big giant chunks in that. Yes. And it was wonderful. And I have to say, I have a daughter who's vegan. So I was very happy to see the vegan option for her with your vegan cheeses as well. So, that's a great entrance to, people wanting to eat fresh and not everyone having meat.
Yeah. But it's also eating fresh is a lot different than going out and eating something that comes out of a jar. And that goes back to the salsas.
Yeah, good. Okay.
And the difference between something coming out of a jar and something made fresh is night and day. And people need to experience that. And most people that have been over to California and been to Mexican restaurants or even Chipotle or my favorite out there, Pollo Loco,
there you go.
You get fresh salsa. And it's just incredible. And that's where you're filling that gap here on offering fresh salsa, salsa that's not out of a jar and made in Belgium.
Yeah.
As we buy in Aldi. Right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's night and day.
Now, what's the difference between California salsa and like Pace, which is a Tex-Mex? Because you guys are talking about Cal Mex.
Yes.
So what's the difference between a Cal Mex and a Tex-Mex?
Look,
anybody got an answer?
Yeah.
I'll let Richie jump in.
Yeah. Look, I'll clarify it as best as I can. I mean, look, although my mother was from Texas, she's from San Antonio originally. I mean, look, there's many variations of Mexican food, and the Texans are, they're proud people in that part of the country. So of course, they've got their own method or techniques of making their brand or style of Mexican food. I'm a proud Californian. That's where I was born and raised, and obviously that's where my folks settled. And even though the regions of Mexican food that were brought, down to my mom and her parents, my grandparents, eventually they were honed in California. So, I mean, when people refer to the food I make as, oh, is it Tex-Mex? I'm like, well, it's actually Cal Mex. That's where I'm from, and that's, I stick with the type of Mexican food that I was exposed to in California. So,
Yeah. So a lot of the difference is the origins of where the migration came from Mexico into the States. So different parts of Mexico probably make things much differently, just like in Italy.
absolutely,
Southern Italy is much different food than Northern Italy. Yeah.
And then people that immigrated using what they had locally as well. Now, being a Californian as well, I can't let this go past. I understand you make a guacamole as well.
I make a few different variations of guacamole. Yes, guacamole, like salad. I mean, it's a very individual choice on how you make guacamole. So, but yes, I do make guacamole. Especially during this time of the year, during the warmer seasons, the summertime. So, and we do get. It's in demand when the avocados are nice and ripe, and when they're not too overly expensive, as you two know. Avocados here are like petrol. The prices tend to fluctuate. So, but the quality of avocados here are, they're really, really high. Just, remind me a lot of, back home. So
yeah, because we're lucky enough to have the Haas as well, and I remember going to restaurants where they'd make the guacamole at the table,
Yes.
like a Caesar salad, but they'd make it fresh. And Richie, I do need to become really good friends with you, because the thing I have missed over my last 30 years here has been tamales. So Richie is a tamale maker, and you do a special thing every month, don't you? Could you just fill us in on that as well?
absolutely. Look, during this, we've all had a very trying year, this 2020, and look, tamales have been in the back of my mind since we actually started this business. But if you too know anything about tamales, they're very time consuming, and ingredients are just absolutely essential. The type of corn flour or masa that you have access to, the corn husks, and then of course the fillings. So it's a culmination of just some just beautiful flavors. So, about 3 months ago, the latter part of September, early October, we decided to come out with this tamale of the month offering, and that's when I really started to focus on making tamales in larger batches, because it's making a tamale is an art form. It can be quite intense, and but the reward is it's the ultimate comfort food, in my opinion, in Mexican cuisine. I mean, tamales are at the top of the list. So
I absolutely agree. It's one of those things. My mother received, from good friends and from our neighbors, some tamales at Christmas. So she's put half in the freezer so she can dole them out through the year. And it's one of those things. I was always raised to have someone only eat the ones from someone making them and enjoy. And that I never order them at a restaurant. But yes, I do miss them. I'm also known as the lady at USA Foods. If someone says they're buying Maseca to make tamales, I'm like, if you have any extra, you can bring them in to me. My name is Barbara, but no one's taken me up on that yet.
Yeah, and the corn husks are always almost impossible to get here.
Yes.
They're illegal to bring in by the Australian government for whatever reason. So a lot of people use coffee filters.
Yes.
Like Mr. Coffee. We sell Mr. Coffee filters because people use them to wrap their tamales in.
We do.
Because they have no flavor to them. Anyway, or they use banana leaves.
Yes, I've seen that as well.
Yeah, banana leaves are very, very common, especially in other parts of South America. I mean, are really common. But, going back to the corn husks, back home, there's a lot of little Mexican small shops throughout Sacramento. And the beauty about corn husks at home is you can actually get them cut to size where, there's consistency, where here, I get the corn husks that are available, and they vary in size. So I tell all of our customers, my apologies for, the inconsistent sizes, but I can only work with what I have access to. So, but yeah, that makes a big difference. Yeah.
Okay, Richie. Well, we're running out of time here. We'd like to thank you. Thanks for all your assistance and my pronunciation of salsa. Salsa. Okay.
Not like
thank you so much. Have a great summer, and I keep on saying, everybody, kick 2020 out the door, and let's enjoy 2021.
Yes, thank you, Richie, and thank you to Mary as well, because I think she's your right arm.
That's it. And Barbara and Phil, I really appreciate the opportunity to, to share our story. And thank you so much for allowing me to share me and Mary's wonderful journey here in Melbourne.
Thank you. Thanks, Richie. Now, folks, we're going to be right back with our secret code.
'Cause understand, I'm still a man with the pork fat baby back blues.
Okay, we're back. And now our secret code is Elk Grove.
That's right.
Where the elks grow. In the grove.
That's right. It could be Illinois or California, depending. And you can use that online, or you do a click and collect order at the store, which is 73 Cochrane's Road, Moorabbin. So we've been knocked around with the holiday times last time we spoke. Now we're back to normal hours, which is Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5, Friday, 10 to 8. Well, it's still sunny out. Mm-hmm. And Saturday 10 to 5 and Sunday 11 to 4.
There you go. Now, if you need to get a hold of us, have any comments or constructive criticisms, contact us at podcast@usafoods.com.au. Okay, now let's move on into Nat Nosh.
I've been told you don't grow old living life this way. Maybe so, but all I know is I'm living day to day.
So today, Wednesday, January the 13th, Lucky 13.
That's right. There's only luckiness this year.
So we got one named after an Australian here, Peach Melba.
Oh, yeah, that was for Dame Nellie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. If not, we just said it is.
Well, and if I say it, it's true.
So Peach Melba is like peaches that are fried in a pan or done in a pan, and then cream on top.
Yes. Is it on a pancake? Is it on pancake? I think it.
I don't know. We didn't research that, but we eat it.
I've eaten enough of it.
And Bananas Frosted, the other one's done almost the same way.
Yes, that's in rum. Am I remembering the alcohol?
Oh, peaches in a rum would be good too. And it's also National Gluten-Free Day. So
don't eat the peach Melba.
Just eat the peaches.
That's good for pavlova. Pavlova is a lovely gluten-free dessert.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
there's only egg whites, right?
That's
egg whites and
right.
sugar.
And also, it's lucky because a lot of our sauces, especially our barbecue sauces, a lot of them are sort of like incidentally gluten-free because in the States we use corn to thicken things, not wheat. So it's handy to have a look at stuff. So we do get quite a customer base coming in to check things out.
Even like our M&Ms that are made in America are gluten-free compared to the ones here.
That's exactly right.
The formula is
cornstarch, but not the pretzel ones. Don't fall for that.
And with corn, like places like McDonald's in America, everything that you eat in McDonald's has corn in it.
From the Coke, that'll have corn syrup.
The bread will have cornmeal. The sweeteners are, again, corn syrup, and for other things that like their ice cream and stuff. And even the meat and the chicken and the beef.
Corn-fed.
Corn-fed.
Well, it is the nation's number one crop, I think, still.
Yes, and if you travel to parts of the Midwest, like I have in Kansas and stuff, you see miles and acres of corn, which is one of my favorite songs by Iris DeMent, Acres of Corn.
Acres of Corn? Yes. We'll have to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes me think of Kevin Costner and Field of Dreams.
We cut down the cornfield and they will come.
And they will come.
Yes. So tomorrow, Thursday the 14th, is National, there's a New York one here, Hot Pastrami Day.
Yum.
Now, the pastrami that you get here is wrong.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
It is. I will agree with you. There's nothing right about it.
No, it's the wrong cut of meat. The wrong seasoning. Yeah, the wrong place to eat it, and people just don't know what to do with it. First of all, we were doing some pastrami from Peter Brochure.
Yep.
He was making real authentic. First, he showed me his pastrami and said no. And then he said, okay, we got to fix this. I said, yeah, it needs to be made with fatty brisket.
Yes.
That's how it's done. And we really hit it right on the nail. But, I think maybe we should try it again because I think it was before its time.
We could have been ahead of our time because now people are sort of really understanding what that sort of Cat's Deli experience is with the thick pastrami sandwiches.
And if we do bring it back, then we had little things on it of how to prepare it because it needs to be pan fried to get it hot and then put it onto your sandwich. And that's really the key to it.
And if you get some sauerkraut,
some good rye bread.
Oh, yes, that's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And another one it's another New York one.
Yeah,
for
but
Friday.
we can go back onto, first of all, the most famous restaurants in New York is, of course, Cat's Deli, the Stage Diner.
Yes.
Okay, and there used to be one named after a fighter. I can't think of the name, but it was on Broadway, up near the Ed Sullivan Theater, and that closed down because it just got too expensive. Because first of all, they give you too much.
Yeah, the sandwich is, like I said, compared to the burrito, it is as big as your head because it's about 4 inches tall and so much meat in it. And can you order a half a sandwich? Because some places, I think in California,
you should be able to. But in California, if you're there, like the places that have it, it's Mike's Deli. It's been on like Seinfeld, on People with Cars and Comedians and Cars with Coffee.
Yep,
they've been there, and a few other shows also featured Mike's Deli. They talk about it on Curb Your Enthusiasm too.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we get to another New York holiday, National Bagel Day.
And you are experienced with this little bagel baker boy.
Onion, plain, poppy, sesame seed, garlic.
Everything?
No, we didn't do everything back in the day. They do it now. And if you get to New York, there's Essa Bagels.
Right.
And you walk down, I think they were on Lexington Avenue or 2nd Avenue in that area in the 50s. And you go by there and it's like, why are these people standing outside? And then one time we walked by, it must have been like in the afternoon. There was like nobody. I said, "Oh, let's go in here and get some bagels." And I could see why they were standing outside. They were true, authentic type bagels. And a lot of the bagels you get here are nothing but bread rolls with holes in them.
Oh, that's it. It's bogus.
They're too light. They're not done with high gluten flour and not enough malt sweeteners and all that.
Yeah, no, but I found the best bagels here at Huff's. So I think there's one in Carnegie, but there's one in Mentone, and that tastes like a bagel, like a real bagel.
Yeah. And my other favorite after bagels is Gdayalla's, which you never see here.
What is that?
A Gdayall is, you go to a bagel bakery and the bagel bakers make bagels and the Gdayall bakers make Gdayalla's. Is sort of like more of a softer dough.
Right.
It's not boiled. Okay, but they use that onion in the middle. It's like pre-cooked onion that they put into the middle of it. It's sort of on the same consistency as an English muffin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but with that oniony taste to it.
Do you want to give those a crack? Do you know how to make those?
If we could get some frozen ones, we'll bring them in.
Okay, all right, that would be lovely. And the same day, but for dessert, it's National Strawberry Ice Cream Day. I'm
just thinking about Neapolitan ice cream. Yeah. You always left with the vanilla and the strawberry.
That's right. I used to come home. I go away on a girls' weekend every year, and Brendan would buy the girls all the rubbish cereal they wanted, and there was always a big thing of ice cream, but there was always like one single stripe of vanilla if they got Neapolitan. It was just there. I remember going to Conrad's Deli, and Mr. Conrad and it was strawberry ice cream, and I remember watching him make it. And it was and there were chunks of strawberries in it. So it's a real fresh flavor. And occasionally I'll come across it. You don't get it. Gelato is beautiful, but you don't get it in that. You need that sort of summer.
And since we're talking about salsa.
Yes.
But remember in California, the strawberries.
They would be.
Sequoia berries.
Oh, they're beautiful. And all the stands.
Yep. Yeah, you drive down the street, and especially like in the country area, and next thing you know, there's like people on the side of the road just selling strawberries.
Oh, last time I was home, I took a pic. I'll see if I can find the picture, which I will. I'll put it on our Instagram, because it filled the palm of my hand and it tasted magnificent.
Yes.
So there's nothing. California does its produce really well, and I do try to indulge when I go back. But the opposite of a fresh strawberry is Saturday is National Fig Newton Day.
Oh, Don Tootin, we love Fig Newtons.
Yes, or the Newtons, because they've changed the name now. It's just a Newton.
It's just a Newton.
Yeah, because I guess fig doesn't sound. I don't know. Just keep it what it
Maybe
is.
because of Cam Newton. I don't know. But hey, a little history about Fig Newton. So
yes, please.
In 1891, that was the first Fig Newton made. So it was made at the F.A. Kennedy Steam Bakery.
Right,
steam bakery.
So,
well, when they make Kaiser rolls, that's done in a steam bakery. So they put the rolls in, and they got this big lever. They press that, and all of a sudden you hear this big whoosh of steam. Yeah. So it's very common in baking. But,
okay. I've seen that.
And now they're making steam ovens here.
Yeah,
too,
I
like
saw
the
that.
high-end ones, and it's named after the town of Newton, Massachusetts.
I did not know that.
There you go. Not named after somebody, named after the town. They were to go to some other town, but Newton won out.
Oh, well, fair enough. Didn't they used to name towns for things too in the old days?
Yeah.
For $10,000 you can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's also a National Quinoa Day.
Too healthy.
I can't get it.
I can't get excited about it. It's supposed to be so good for you.
I know, but it just sort of tastes like dirt a little bit. Like by the time we eat it. By the time I put so much stuff in it.
To make it taste good.
Yeah.
Like bacon fat.
You've lost the general essence of the quinoa.
Yeah.
But the next day, which is Sunday, as we talked before our Christmas break.
Yeah, we talked about
my dad would love this. National Hot Buttered Rum Day. Warm the cockles of your heart.
Yeah, that's more this is for January, but that's good for July here. Yes.
That is right. Especially it's a very ski lodgy sort of thing. That with a hot toddy. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. And on Monday is National Peking Duck Day.
Yum.
Now, if you have a good Peking duck, they are unbelievable.
I have. Way back when. You can buy the Peking duck kits here. I haven't tried them.
Not the same. You need somebody to serve it to you. We used to go to
with a bow tie.
Yes. We used to go to this restaurant in Brooklyn, and family-owned restaurant, and they made Peking duck. First time I ever had it, and they brought it out 7 different sections. So one with the pancake, one with this, one with the skin, and that's like the thing how to serve it. And when Jeanette and I, when we went to Hong Kong, there's a great restaurant. Now, Hong Kong's known for their Peking duck, but we found this one called Spring Deer.
Right.
In the other side of the river, or of Hong Kong. I forgot the name of that town. It starts with a Y. So it's called Spring Deer. You go upstairs, and the place was just packed all the time. The twice we went there, and they come out with the duck, and they slice it in front of you. They have these guys that just go pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
That is now hungry. I need some chives and some spring onion and
onions and
plum sauce.
Yeah, the hoisin sauce.
Hoisin, yes, beautiful. And it is on Tuesday, which is sort of good. We need to get back into snack figs because we're getting close to Super Bowl.
Yes.
National Popcorn Day.
And you could put all the different flavors on popcorn now.
That's right. Well, what was the Chicago mix? It was cheddar.
Oh, cheddar
caramel.
popcorn and
caramel.
that was pretty weird.
But it was good. It worked.
Yeah, a lot of people like that, especially from Chicago.
Well, that's their own thing.
They got their own thing in a lot of things. They got their own pizza, the deep dish. You go to Uno's or Dewey's, or they get that, and then they have their own hot dogs.
That's right.
That they put their own different toppings, sort of like New York. They put their own different toppings on it.
But and they're allowed to be their own.
That strange popcorn and
strange popcorn.
And they call Chicago not the biggest little city in America. That's Reno,
which is nothing like Chicago.
It's like the biggest hometown or the biggest, something like that. They have a name for it because it's like the biggest Western town. They consider the beginning of the West, even though it's not really the West, but it's like the biggest country town. That's what it is.
Is it?
Yes.
I have my friend Amy she's moved back. She moved back over a year ago now, and she was looking forward to hitting all the delis.
Yes.
Because, really good, a big Polish population there too.
Exactly.
So
that's what makes all
stuff.
of their delis, and they're so close to Wisconsin. So you got all this great sausage meat with great cheese.
Well, Ferris Bueller, he was from Chicago, and that's when he goes, "It's a sausage king."
Yeah, it's a sausage.
Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. It's just it's a mecca for that type of food to go there. And I have friends that grew up in New York, born in New York, moved to California, okay,
right.
And then for one reason or another, for work, moved to Chicago, and will never leave it.
I have been lucky enough to gather a group of friends now that are in Chicago. So one day I hope to visit it, and I will house hop and visit everyone.
It's a nice city.
It sounds beautiful,
Yes.
but that is it for Nat Nosh.
Yes.
But I feel like we only left on National Popcorn Day, which makes me sad. I think we should have another snack there, like National Tortilla Chip Day, or something should go with that as well.
That will probably be coming up.
Okay. Yes. All right. I will keep that, and you can dip that in some lovely fresh salsa.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is like the end of our first episode of the new year.
Well, unfortunately, yes, we've made it.
Wow, we made it to another year.
That's right. Hello.
Hello. We're out there.
Podcast infamy.
All right. Well, don't forget to go onto the website and use that secret code.
Yes, which is Elk Grove.
Yep. And call us on, or not call us, but email us on podcast@usafoods.com.au.
And you can check out our pictures on our Instagram, which is Gdayall Podcast.
Did we put our pictures on there yet?
No.
No, we're not.
I'm not putting our pictures on. There's lots of food.
We have to dig out some old pictures to put on there.
I will do like circa...
When we were both young and good looking. Well, at least one of us.
Circa 1987 is probably my prime. I'll get that up there. The hair was big, but, it was a good era.
Yes. Okay. See you next week.
Yes. Take care.
Yep.
See y'all.